Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. Let's start with football, I guess. Um, what was the most surprising thing you saw on Saturday?
I mean, where do you want to start? I mean, is there anything more specific that you want to talk about? I mean, I there was just so much wrong. I mean, there was, I think probably for me, you saw this offensive line has been able to pass protect pretty well all season, but I think you finally saw the wheels come off there in the second half for even that aspect of this offense. I mean, the offensive performance was just abysmal. I mean, Florida was coming in and they were down what, four or five starters from where they were at the start of the year, and you can't finish off drives. You can't uh, you can't throw the ball more than 5 or 6 yards down the field. I mean, there was just a lot wrong, and I don't put it all on Nussmeier. I don't put it all on the offensive line. I think it's a collection of everybody that's just been a massive failure for the last 3 weeks offensively, and a big reason why you're in this hole. I mean, I know the defense gave up 27 points in the 18 minutes that they were on the field, but they kind of held in there for as long as possible. And I think if the offense had been able to cap off some of those drives, you're looking at you're talking about a very different game and a very different storyline. So it comes back to the offense for me. It starts at the top, obviously, with what Brian Kelly and Joe Sloan are doing, and then gravitates certainly towards the players and kind of the ineffectiveness to cap off some of these drives. I mean, they were what, 13 to 24 on third down. They doubled up Florida in plays. They more than doubled them up in play time. I mean, I know you've probably covered all this already, but just the lack of efficiency there to cap off those drives, I think you really felt that, and certainly I think the offensive line's play, especially in pass protection, had a lot to do with it.
Do you think the 6 sacks, 7 sacks were a result of the zero turnovers? Meaning, instead of just deciding I'm going to force it in there, I'm just going to eat it?
Yeah, I think there was some of that, but I mean, even early in the game, we saw Nussmeier throw the ball away. I mean, like he was throwing the ball away sometimes when things weren't open downfield. I mean, the thing that really stood out to me, and I've said this now, I think for a couple of weeks, but the passing game here has gotten very vanilla. I mean, at least the passing offense was kind of the strength of this team the first 5, 6 weeks of the season, but I'm not sure if you saw or many of the LSU fan base has seen, but there was an article from ESPN that kind of broke down some of the advanced numbers. Garrett Nussmeier over these last 3 games, per completion, he's averaging 3.3 air yards per pass. I mean, they're not throwing the ball down the field at all. And I think when defenses have figured that out, it makes LSU very predictable, even in the passing game, and that was supposed to be the strength of this offense. So, look, I think there was some truth to what you just said there about the pressure and him just kind of eating it instead of maybe forcing some things maybe where they weren't there. But I think that it also comes down to just the lack of kind of I guess creativity is the best word you can use for it in terms of just how predictable this offense has been now for well over a month.
Is the inability to stretch the field because of their predictability on offense or because they don't have the wide receivers to go do it?
I think it's a mixture of both. I mean, I think I've said it now for a couple of weeks, maybe on this show, but certainly on a couple others on our podcast and stuff. Like, I just don't see any separation from these receivers right now. I mean, Aaron Anderson had a really solid game overall. Mason Taylor is obviously a really great crutch for Nussmeier and is always reliable, but really outside of those two, I mean, he was struggling to get the ball to anybody, and I think that they just had a really tough time of creating separation against a Florida secondary that was pretty decimated with injuries. So some of that has to do with the pressure, and some of it has to do with those guys just not being able to get out of their routes and create some of that separation. And I don't know where else this offense can go. I mean, like, we've only got 2 more games here where you can really kind of see if there's any tangible improvement that's being made. I thought the run game was solid. I mean, look, they ran for 160 yards between Durham and Williams, which is something we've been begging to see for a while. And you'd think that it would have had an effect on the passing game, but there was just so little time for Nussmeier to make decisions, and certainly he was a little bit more conservative. I think you could see early in the game he was certainly trying not to make mistakes, and I think it just led to a very vanilla offense and a very conservative passing offense that just wasn't able to create many explosive plays.
Let's talk about the defense then. No sacks in this game against freshman quarterback. Didn't get Jalen Milroe either. That was the strength of this team, was the ability to get to the passer. What have you seen there?
Yeah, I mean, look, we thought coming into that game that Lagway was going to be limited mobility wise, and that certainly proved to be the case. He was not looking to move at all in that game, and LSU was bringing some pressure at times, but I think you credit to what they were doing offensively for Florida in some respects because Lagway was hitting a lot of these passes down the field and getting the secondary and compromising positions, and those receivers made some plays. And but I don't know if I can complain too much about the defense. I mean, they had them what at 13 points for until the third quarter. They were, I think they did most of their jobs well. I mean, you had the one bust there at the very end that kind of broke the game open, but I mean, I can't really blame the defense much for this one. I mean, you could certainly go back to Alabama and say, yeah, there were some real deficiencies there defensively. You could go back to the second half of A&M and say, yeah, that was a real rough game for LSU defensively. But I mean, I thought that, for the most part, they did what they were asked to do for a lot of that game, especially early in the first half, and they just had no help from the offense. And I think it comes back to this team just really struggling to have complementary football for 11 weeks now, and that's something that comes back to the coaching staff and extends throughout the entire program.
What does your gut tell you these next 2 weeks hold?
I have no clue. I honestly I couldn't tell you. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose both games. I wouldn't be surprised if they win both games. I mean, I think for LSU's sake, they have to find a way to protect home field here and to kind of get out with some momentum. I'd love to see, Brian Kelly talked a lot about the players that are going to be on the field over the next couple of weeks and the ones that are going to be the guys that have shown them in practice that they're not giving up on the season, that they're still going to be working hard. And you hope that's the first and second year players on this roster. You hope that those guys are continuing to push and continuing to see some opportunities maybe open up for them over these next couple weeks because those are the guys you're going to be building around. And certainly with this 2025 class that's coming in, you're hoping that those guys can have an immediate impact. But Deshaun Womack, Deshaun Spears, Kylan Jackson, some of these first and second year players, Devon Keys on defense. I mean, offensively, I'd love to see Trey'Dez Green get a few catches. I'd love to continue to see Caden Durham get 20 carries a game. I mean, like there's some things that you can learn about these young players over the next couple weeks. Whether that leads to wins or not, I don't know. But there's a lot that I think that LSU needs to lean into, and you just hope that it's the first and second year guys that are the ones that are kind of picking up some of the charge here over the last couple weeks and seeing a lot of time on the field.
Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.